Hello, just going to share something from one of my favorite books by Carla Helbert. This is kind of what I started when I first got interested in yoga as therapy. Um, and I wanted to read something that she writes about the dark night of the soul. This is what I would consider we are going through as humanity right now. When we are wandering the depths of the dark night, it can be nearly impossible to imagine, much less see, that growth might be happening. The notion that darkness and dark places necessarily must be bad is inherently wrong. The Bible says that in the beginning darkness was upon the face of the waters, and then there was light. It says too that light was good, but it does not say that dark was bad. The darkness came before the light. Perhaps the light first needed the dark in order to shine forth. Darkness nurtures and supports innumerable types of growth and life. Seeds must be planted in the deep soil of the earth and allowed to germinate in the dark. Tiny pods swell, expand, and eventually burst forth tiny tendrils of growth under cover of dark. In the dark night, countless nocturnal creatures thrive: bats, owls, cats of all kinds, domestic, jungle, and mountain, lemurs, opossum, deer, rabbits, scorpions, fireflies, and more. A plethora of plants bloom and grow only in the absence of light. You will never see the glory of a night blossoming jasmine or the ethereal beauty of the pale moonflower flourish in the harsh light of day. So this is a book specifically about grief, and it's really excellent as a resource because grief is a natural reaction to loss. Loss is a part of life, and a lot of the inflammatory nature of our interactions right now I see as being boiling it down, which is my thing. I'm always trying to figure out what is going on, lowest common denominator. People are upset because they're going through a grief reaction. When you're in grief, you can think of it like Dr. Phil says, the psychological skin has been burned. So you're overly sensitive to everything that comes in because you're coming from a place of grief and loss. The thing about it is you don't have to consciously be defining it as grief for that to be what's happening. All of us have lost right now. We've lost jobs. We've had to change our work if we are still working. So we're working in different ways, which is always hard. Our relationships have changed because we can't see the people that we want to see. And if we do see those people, it's under strange circumstances where we can't just be natural with them and give them a hug as we normally would. And so that can lead to avoidance behavior, and then we don't see those people at all because it becomes awkward and strange, and we eat too much and sleep too much and drink too much, medicate in other ways to try and cope with this issue. And then someone says something that is, harmless and not meaning ill intent, and we're injured because we are already injured. I like to think of it like anxiety. I have an anxiety disorder, and when I was diagnosed officially with an anxiety disorder, it was kind of a relief because I started to understand what was happening. I started to understand when I was having a panic attack, the heart was racing, the thoughts are racing, it feels like I'm going to crap my pants or pee myself, and then I'm nauseated and I'm dizzy. And before I knew it was an anxiety disorder, it was very harsh. After I knew it was an anxiety disorder, it's still harsh, but at least I know what's going on, so I could say to myself, this is normal for a person who has anxiety. I am having anxiety right now. And 20 years later, now going to the grocery store and walking in and having, someone counting the people in the store and hand sanitizer right off the bat and people frantically running around and not knowing where to stand and being in somebody's way all the time. Those are very anxiety inducing behaviors. But instead of just going anxious and nuts with the whole thing, I know, and I'll say out loud, this is very anxiety inducing, and that helps me cope with it. So what we're going through right now as grief, you could use the same kind of idea to help cope with the grief that's happening right now. So when you feel overwhelmed, or when you feel like you're going to cry, or when you feel like someone is wronging you by what they're doing or how they're behaving, you can look at under that filter and see, am I having a grief reaction? Am I looking at this a certain way because I am longing for my loved ones and coping with the grief by judging other people and being upset about how other people are conducting themselves? Because that's a slippery slope, and it just makes you more upset. When you can realize that's part of what you're doing to cope with the grief that you're having. Because honestly, a lot of we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about death. We don't want to talk about what's going on. But we have to. We have to look at it. We have to look at stats that people are dying. Sirens are going off every day. It's a palpable kind of anxiety in the air if you do go out, because people don't know what to do. Should I cross the street? Is it going to look rude? Is she going to see that I'm smiling when we're like 10 feet away from each other because I want her to know that I'm friendly, but I don't know if I should even wave anymore? These are very strange times, and all of us can cope a little bit better if we understand what the grief reaction is, what that filter does to a person, and how it then changes their perception of the world around them. It doesn't mean that it's going to go away. I still have an anxiety disorder. I still get anxious disproportionately to what is happening at that time. But understanding that that's what's going on for me helps me to cope with it, because I understand what that means. And I've had enough grief in my life. I've lost so many people that I know that's a large part of what I'm going through right now, a grief reaction. I'm frustrated. My job is much harder. My yoga therapy is really slow because people don't really know what it is. And I was just starting to get some momentum going, and then we are not allowed to see other people anymore. So all of us are going through that. I just want to share that little bit of information. If you look up grief reaction or stages of grief, even though they don't go, it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're done. These are just the natural things that happen. And see if any of that resonates with you. Namaste.